Are Nigerians so religious yet they are still struggling? Now, currently looking at the country, you know that Nigerians have the highest rates of both religions, both the Islamic and the Christian. We have it in the highest population. But then there is hardship in the country, suffering, and the rest. Currently, we are battling insecurity. So, why is this so? Why is this so? Earlier, we know that even looking at the country, you know that we have the highest rates of churches, both the big and the small. But then the country and its citizens are still wallowing in abject poverty, hardship, and the rest. Why is it so? Now, I have with me a guest in the house. We're going to be talking about this, and I will getting his own point of view from why the things is happening in the country and why what he thinks about it. I have with me Mr. Katchison. Mr. Katchison, welcome.
Thank you very much for
How are
having
you
me.
doing?
I'm okay.
Okay. All right, my people. So sit back, relax as we try to understand more about this. So don't go anywhere. Now, moving on. Mr. Katchison, what does religion mean to you personally? What's your own opinion of religion?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So, for me, religion is a kind of principle or belief, a set of principle or belief that one has that is linked to a particular god or gods, depends on the kind of religion the person's practice. Just like you have earlier stated,
Mm.
coming down to Nigeria, we have three kinds of religion. We have those that believe in Christianity, we have those that believe in Islam, while we have those that practice traditionally. So, depend on the God you serve, it will now navigate you towards the God or gods you will believe in.
So why do you think Nigeria is one of the most religious countries we have in the world?
Okay, for me, the reason for that is, will I say, the kind of people we have in Nigeria. Because all over the world, even I think for me, it boils down to the mindset we have. Take, for instance, the Anglican Communion. The Anglican Communion is formed in the United Kingdom. That is where we have our headquarters, where our Archbishop of the Canterbury is. Now, you can say that you can't be more Catholic than the Pope. When you talk about the set of principles, for us, for me, I am of the Anglican extraction. That's why I'm using Anglican as an instance. So, whatever we practice here, we get the liturgy as it is in the Church of England. But coming down to Nigeria, asking why we are being more religious, yet we are still struggling. It's the kind of mindset we have, and it equally boils down to the set of leaders we have. Because in the situation whereby our political leaders have now used religion as a political tool and weapon, to weaponize us. So we don't have any option.
So that's a spiritual manipulation in your own understanding.
No, it's not a spiritual manipulation, but I said it is being caused and orchestrated by the kind of political leaders we have in the country.
I still don't
Okay, look at what I said. They weaponized Christianity. Let me take, for instance, the kind of political leaders we have and the set of uh, uh, religious leaders we have. Ordinarily, there shouldn't be any connection between politics and religion. But nowadays, they are now connected here in Nigeria. In the situation whereby a politician will go to church, you will have the opportunity to address the church and say all sorts of things. In the situation whereby the priest or those are religious leaders, we have the opportunity to address their congregation. And in that opportunity, instead of using it maybe to talk against or maybe criticize the policies of government and address them properly, but it kind of these religious leaders won't equally tell us the truth. They find it hard to criticize the government, because when you criticize government, they will sit up but in a situation whereby they are equally connected to these politicians. So when we now see white, they will be afraid to call it white. So these are the problems
And
we are
then they
having in
call
the
it black.
country.
Okay.
Yes, it's happening.
So wait now. Then where does spiritual manipulation comes into place? Because you've talked about the political entity not having any any fellowship with the Christianity. So where does using the leaders in the church, like you said earlier, they have now like they see something that is black, but then decide to call it white or whatever. But then, so where does spiritual manipulation comes in the sense that these spiritual leaders they cover up for these political leaders?
Okay, thank you. Spiritual manipulation, for me, I would say it now boils down to our religious leaders. Ordinarily, spirituality is something that is when you have a self conviction over something, that should be spirituality. You don't need to go to church, you don't need to become a bishop before you become spiritual. It's something of the mind, just like we say that the church is of the heart.
Hmm.
Are you getting me? So, talking about spiritual conviction, it now boils down to the set of religious leaders we equally have. In a situation whereby they will always tell us, just like we Christians, for instance, in the situation of the country is now, hardship, insecurity, and all of that. Some people see that church is part of the safer place we have.
But it is.
It is not. It is not. As it regards Nigeria, it is no longer, because the kind of religious leaders we now have are not equally truthful. I must say, I'm a Christian, yes, but we have to tell ourselves the truth. They will always want to tell us what we want to hear instead of the way it should be.
So that is in Christians are being fooled into blind obedience.
I agree with
Following
you,
what?
especially with the Christians, because if you compare Christianity, if you check the practice of Christianity and how it is being done in the Islam, you see that we Christians are more deceived by our religious leaders.
Hmm.
Take for instance, I don't know the church you I don't know the church you
No,
attend.
this is my church. I
Okay,
thought
I don't know the
this.
church you attend, but Islam, as I know, it is just one. There's nothing like so and so church, so and so church, so and so church in Islam,
Hmm.
to the best of my knowledge. But when you come to we Christians, we have
We have
and so church.
a lot of
Even
them.
in my community alone, you can count more than 50, 70 churches in my community alone. Come to talk of my local government and Imo State and Nigeria at large.
Hmm.
Yet we are still not getting it right, just like you are asking. We are still not getting it right, which means that religion is not the issue to the situation of the country.
Okay, no problem. So moving on, now let's talk about poverty. What role do you think poverty has? With all these things that are going on, is it the cause of poverty in the country and hardship?
Thank you. But
You just agree with all those things. You agree that poverty is part of it.
come again.
That poverty with religion and blind obedience, like I said earlier. So you think that it breeds poverty out of people?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for that question. In fact, I was going to come to that. Poverty is part of the circumstances that is leading us to where we are and being deceived. We see church as a way. Okay, somebody will come and give you a prophecy that this year is your, just like this is December now. By 31st of this month, everybody will go to crossover night. 2026 will be your year of breakthrough. Amen. Everybody will be shouting this and that. You see new month, new year resolutions, all and that. You will buy card. Even most of the prophecies are given to people in this year. Just like one comedian will say that this year is almost ended. That most of the prophecies, not one,
came to pass.
not one have come to pass. So in that situation, we have the mindset of you will get a job, you will do this, you will get that.
That's faith
You
now.
that's what I'm telling you now. You don't give what you don't have. So, but we Christians are now. That's why I say we are weaponized. You will do this. God will do this. God will do that. Prayers doesn't work. It's not the situation to Nigeria. Take for instance, most of the successful men in the world. Okay, let me take Nigeria. You talk about Dangote,
Mm.
talk about Otedola, and so many other rich people. You see that they didn't end that they didn't spend most of their life in church praying, God do this, do this. Rather, they have services that they render. Are you getting me? They have
Yes,
services that you
yes,
must have
yes.
something you indulge. Then when you now pray and pray with faith, God will now use that thing you do and prosper your handwork.
Mm.
Because if you be stay idle and start worshiping God, this and that, if we check statistics, I can bet you most of those that are prayer warriors in most of our churches, check them, they are the people complaining of poverty and all that. Because they must spend most of their times speaking in tongues, this and that. You must have something doing. When you now pray, God will prosper your handwork.
Mm. So they're mistaking faith for laziness.
That is what I'm telling you. So that's why I agree with you that poverty is part of the circumstances that is leading us to where we are
Mm.
in this country.
Okay, now let's talk about spiritual manipulation. Now, have you ever, witnessed it, or come across anyone that was spiritually manipulated? You know, like you said earlier, this year is your year, and
Mhm.
then the rest of it. So, have you ever come across someone who was in that shoe before?
At the moment, I cannot fathom anybody who may have particularly come short of that, but generally, it is there.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Generally, it is there. Some people may come out, this is your wife. God told me this is your wife. At the end of the day, that person that is your wife, before you get married now, you must have to go for some background check, especially the medical aspect of it. So that person that God now say this is your wife, and you now go for medical, and you find out that the blood group and genotype doesn't match.
Mm.
So will you still blindly believe what that man of God told you that this is your wife? So generally, people are victims of this kind of situation.
Okay. Okay. Please let's quickly go on a short break. We're back shortly. Stay tuned. All right, viewers, welcome back from that very short break. And I'm still in here in the studio with Mr. Kachi, and he has been giving us some tipsy dipsy, intellect of what the topic is all about and why he has his own opinion. And like everybody has their own opinion and they stick by it. So moving on. Now, Mr. Kachi, I would love to know, why do you think Nigerians are so obsessed with get spiritual breakthrough and miracles in church?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Nigerians are eager to get spiritual solutions in church. I would say that it still boils down to the economic situation of the country, where people have the mindset that they can get their quick solution, quick in quote, from the church. In the sense that maybe when you go to church, you get your breakthrough, have a miracle, get your breakthrough, and immediately things will start working well for you. So it still have that mindset, but the problem is that most of the times we end up, getting the opposite of that. Instead of getting that solution, we get endangered. What am I trying to say? When you now go to a church and your spiritual father gives you a prophecy that your sibling or your father or even your roommate is the cause of your problem.
Spiritual attack.
So by the time you now go back home, you now see that person as an enemy. So instead of getting a solution that you went to seek, you are equally getting the opposite, which is getting into more endangering yourself and the
So
rest of
you
it.
think that fear, brings up the reality of it when they go to church, and then your pastor prophesied that your roommate is evil. That fear now grows up, and then it's now becomes a reality for them.
Yes, and they now start acting the opposite. So the point I'm trying to make is that church is never the solution to whatever problem we have. I'm a Christian, yes. I serve God, I worship God. But in some situations, you have to work it out. If church is the situation, Nigeria would have been better. We have been praying since I was born. We have been praying for a good economy. We have been praying for a good nation, praying for everything to get well. So if actually church is the answer, it should be for even be better than United
So
States.
but people go to spiritual fathers, for advice and the rest. Are you saying that they cannot go and get advice from these people?
No, I'm not trying to say that they don't have their right to go and get advice.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is the manner and the personality of that religious leader you are going to meet. Even that religious leader you are going to meet, most of the times has his or her own problem. And most of the times they now work on psychology. When they look at you, ordinarily, maybe psychology is real. Maybe when you look at somebody, maybe peradventure you have a background knowledge of where that person is coming from or any other thing, or maybe based on the story or the problem that person narrates to you, a simple psychology you can equally dictate the next line of action or something that may come over. So you now apply that psychology on that person and tell that person what that person have to hear. But is that thing you telling that person the solution? The answer is no.
Okay.
Most of these religious, let me say this, most of the religious leaders we have are not called by God. What am I trying to say now? Take for instance, most of these Pentecostal churches, you see that uh, the bishop or the convener or the general overseer of that particular church, maybe when that person is getting old, you find that they will now start bringing up their son who will take over from them. Have you thought of that?
Yeah,
Or have you seen it happening in this
yeah,
Nigeria?
yeah, it's happening.
So it now shows that even those that are called by, if God calls a father, you now see that that father will not be the one to call either the wife or the son, so that they will not take over from what? The ministry.
You have been so much focused on Christianity, but we are talking about religion all around. We have other religions.
Okay.
So why are you so focused on Christianity?
I am more focused on Christianity because that is where the major problem lies. These things
So
we are
other
talking,
other religions, they don't have
I'm
any
coming.
problem.
These things we are talking about now is not majorly uh, 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 is not majorly evident in the Islamic religion,
Hmm.
right? It's not majorly evident. They serve one God. That is their a man or Allah, right?
I
Good.
don't know.
Okay, you don't know. Okay, let's not talk about it anyway.
Yes.
But they have one doctrine, they have one principle. Just like I said earlier, when you now come to Christianity, we are quite divided. We have quite number of churches, and this quite number of churches we have their different principles, liturgy, and the rest of it. What we practice in Anglican is different from what they tell us or tell other people in Catholic and some other churches, thereby breeding what? Confusion. In a situation whereby I have a son from Anglican, my son gets to marry, and maybe the person he is looking at to marry is from Catholic, and I will not tell my son, don't marry this from Catholic, this and that, this and that, this and that.
So Christianity is their own problem.
That's what I'm telling you, yes. How many times most of these prophets we have, maybe like I said it earlier equally, by December now, this 31st of December we are in, most of these religious leaders will give prophecies. Just like during the build up to the 2023 election, we have a lot of prophecies. So and so person, I see so and so person imagine as the president of Nigeria. I see so and so person imagine this and that. This at the end of the day, what happened? So in a situation whereby these people give, at the end of the day, you don't hear all these things from the Muslim leaders. So and so person prophesied. So and so person said this and that. You don't hear it from the religion. A minority of it from the traditional aspect of it. It's mostly with the Christians. So that is why I'm majorly focused on Christianity.
Okay, so now moving on, how do you think people can, protect themselves from being spiritually manipulated?
That's another good question. It's about self conviction. Having the self conviction, what you believe in. Like I told you earlier during my introduction, the church is of the heart. I must not need to go to the church, kneel down and pray before God answers my prayer. You can be going to church fasting for 1 week, and I stay in my house and pray and have the faith, and my wish will come to pass.
So that you don't believe in communion of the saints.
No, you ask me a question. I'm telling you that it's about the heart.
Okay, go on.
Spiritual conviction is about the heart. What you think works for you. When you have the faith, in the Bible, we had situations the woman of Zarephath, who had only one food, that after that food, she and the son will be waiting for death to come. And she sacrificed that food to the prophet of God. And at the end of the day, what happened? She prospered. Are you getting me? So it's about having the self-conviction,
Okay.
know what works for you. So let us stop giving in to most of the religious leaders. It's happening this side. This is December period now. You see that there are most at times majorly crusades here and there. This person is coming to this person is coming to this and that. You don't even have the transport, you borrow just for what? Because you want to go. Let me mind you, most of us now go there just because you want to see this person, not even because you have the faith that that person will hear you. And mostly to now spice it up also, in that particular crusade, maybe they will now bring one of the most of these top gospel artists. This one Biaga. I want to go and see this person. Most of us have our, you know, preferred gospel artists and all that. I want to go and see that person.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, what works for you? If you are not going for that crusade just because you want to see so and so gospel artist, you have lost that faith. You have lost that idea of God equally healing you through a man of God. So the long and short of my submission on this question is that it boils down to self-conviction and what you believe in.
Okay, so do you think Nigerians can progress if we continue mixing religion with everything? Or do you still stand on the fact that we should leave religion and then focus on things that are at hand?
Thank you very much. If you can leave religion, it will be better for us. And even if it is possible, let us have one religion in Nigeria if it is possible, right? So in a situation, however, it may not be possible of having one religious party in Nigeria, fine, but let us leave religion aside from politics. In Nigeria now, religion is interchanged with politics. Most of our religious leaders are now politicians. We have governor of Akwa Ibom, governor of Benue State. I don't want to start mentioning and all of that. They are all religious leaders. But being a religious leader and being a position of a governor, you see that you contravene in certain rules. There are things ordinarily as a man of God you wouldn't do, but being in that position as a governor or a political appointee, you must subdue yourself to do that. In that place, you are derailing. Most of these political leaders also come to these religious leaders for prayers and all of that. Be loyal to them. So by the time during campaign period, they will come use the pulpit, the lectern, to now do political campaign. You wouldn't have that courage again to tell them this and that, even to tell them to their face why they are even seated there. You will not. Most of them come to the pulpit during sermons, just like that was 3 weeks ago or so. I don't want to mention their name. There are two known religious leaders in Nigeria that came out to talk about kidnapping and banditry.
Yeah.
One of them said, under 7 days, this thing they will all die. If you try to kidnap any of my members, they will all die. I don't want to mention them. But 7 days is gone. Is that the solution? The answer is no. As at the time during the period of Jonathan, when Jonathan was, sorry, I'm derailing a little, but I'm trying to make a point. During the time of Jonathan, a non-religious leader led a protest when insecurity was breeding during that period. Led a protest. A non-religious leader led that protest against Jonathan. That same religious leader is still alive today and suddenly lost the voice. Maybe probably because the president is from his
Tribe.
his tribe. Thank you very much. So who is deceiving who actually? So that is why I now said religion and politics, they are now related in Nigeria. So if there is a possible way the two can be set aside, if you are a religious leader, remain here.
Okay.
If you want to be a politician, remain here. Nothing should join you two.
Okay.
Because people believe in different things. If you are a man of God and you have been in politics, the truth is that the way Nigerian politics is, there is no way you can lie. Are you understanding me? There's no way you can't lie. So you see that it won't work. So the two should be separated. Thank you.
That's for religion and politics.
Politics, yes.
Now, what about the religious belief and people, like I said earlier, people too focused on religion. And what about people, the citizens themselves? What do you think that they should do different? Because I think they were about to wrap up. What do you think that they should do different and not be too focused in religion?
Okay, what they governed, in other words, the congregation,
Yes,
right,
yes, yes,
have to
yes.
do differently in order to be deceived, right? Good. Maintain. Some people will say, "Day your day," or "Stay in your lane." So if you want to serve God, I'm not saying that you shouldn't serve God. I'm not preaching that. No, because equally I'm a child of God. So let what you believe in work for you. If you say you are of so so and so divide, diligently serve your God. When there is time for prayers or this and that, you go. Give your tithe, pay your tithe accordingly. According to the Bible, tithe is 1/10, right, of
Hmm.
your earning. That is what the Bible told us for we Christians. But when you now go to a man of God and that person will now, start telling you things or how to even pay your tithe 2 times a week, and even giving you the least amount to pay. So you should have that self conviction to know that no, 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 this is not what the Bible tells you.
That's critical thinking.
Correct.
All right.
And having the discerning spirit
All right.
that this is not what the Bible tells you. So believe in yourself, pray to your God, and while praying to your God, depending on the prayer point you have or your wish, but still find something doing. In that your talent, God can prosper you. We cannot continue to believe in miracles. Somebody will say you cannot sleep in blunder and wake up in wonder, expecting miracles. No. So do you serve your God diligently? Whatever you do, remain focused, remain consistent, and pray to your God at the right time. Just like the Bible said, at the right time, I, your Lord, will what? Make it happen.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that wonderful, disposition. We really appreciate. Now, to my viewers out there, you all have heard it. This is his own personal opinion, and it has been a wonderful time and interactive session in the studio. So please do well to check out this episode on our YouTube channel. You can do that and follow us on all our social media platform, from our Facebook to our TikTok, and also you can drop your submission there, and we will do well to get back to you. Now, from the all of us here in Serenity TV, I remain your host, Goodness Chisom. Till next time. Bye.